I don't know what your emotions were at the end of it.
Yeah, probably pretty not brilliant. I thought, obviously the cards changed the shape of the game. I thought in the first half it was looking like a pretty good game. I was pretty happy with where we were. There was really two teams who wanted to play good rugby going at each other. Thought, often happens in rugby, when you get the numbers reduced, the whole game changes picture. And I thought we were really poor in that. But I mean, exactly as poor we were, is because the Irish just kept the ball and put us under pressure and forced us into ill-disciplined mistakes. So, yeah, it wasn't the product we probably wanted for growing rugby in this and South African participation in the competition and all that sort of stuff. But for the outcome, people take it every day of the week because London Irish are a really, really good side.
How's your fly half?
I think he'll be out of rugby for a little while. Because on the radio, as they hit the medical room, the call came back that they won't even carry on with the HIA. So I think a pretty nasty knock. So he'll be out for a little while.
What was your view on the tackle? What was your view on the tackle? It was a red card, obviously.
Yeah, the red card. I mean, I'm not equipped. I'm too old. There's no way as Ben Loader comes in there trying to decapitate. It's a hell of a tough situation. You're moving fast. It's a 2-on-1. There's a try at risk. You want to try and see if you can make a hit and move across. I mean, but it's a red card. But it's we don't view that as any form of malice or any form of it's tough. But it's also not great when the Springbok fly offs off the bench and off the game with the HI.
As the game got up, a broader issue here. Yeah. Clearly, it's getting every week we're having the same conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I would not. I don't want to be. I would differentiate slightly between Ben Loader's thing, which is a high-speed rugby action, whereas because that thing where you're a jackler, like happened with Dion Fourie getting hit, I think that is really we've got to protect. We can control that to a larger degree than maybe we can control the Ben Loader sort of head clash situation. That to me is it's a bit because that's where all the dangerous breaks are. Like on the top of the head like that. That is where guys are really exposed. So yeah. But we do have a problem with rugby like that because it was a cracking game until the numbers went down. And I thought we got poorer. Irish played the only way they could play, and I think they dominated possession.
Jabba, all is well that ends well. What did you make of Sasha Nkomezulu's introduction that game? Nerves at the start, but with Damien helping him around, how did you think the young man?
Yeah, I thought we probably made him another error on our part was not maybe putting him into fullback where we trained most of the time. Because Damien was actually reserve fly-off and we put him straight to 10. So I think he struggled too. Once we put him into fullback, I thought where he trained, I thought he was much, much better. Yeah.
And how does the rest of the competition? Obviously, for you guys, you've got to win next week, I guess, to really. As I say, it's complicated the maths, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't know how you're looking at next week.
Yeah, I think worst case scenario, we need 1 point from next week. I tell you, from our side, we're looking forward to playing. That's probably looking forward to playing in our conditions. I'm sure we'll get that point next week. But for us, it's like I said before the game, it's a real privilege to be part of this competition. I know there's debate about it, but cheapest to be playing a Heineken Cup game in London against a team like London Irish. It's pinch yourself up for a team from the Stormers, So we just want to go as far as we can in the competition. We might not get that point next week. We just want to go as far as we can.
I think as it stands, if you stayed fourth, you would get the home tie in the knockouts. Obviously, given how much travel is involved, I suppose you want that even more.
Yeah, because we fly via Kathmandu and everything. No, it actually will. Today was actually it's a good point. I'm not being funny because today was just trying to stay alive in the competition because we want to be part of it and get to it. And now we're probably sitting in a position where we're going to try and see where we can play. Very similar to us in the URC last year. We wanted to get top 8 just to be part of the top table and maybe get into Europe. And then as it got closer, we started trying to find out the venue, trying to help control the venue.
Joseph Dweband is throwing, leaps and bounds, not as accurate as you'd want. How's the confidence of his?
Oh, great. From where he was 6 weeks ago, brilliant. He's just playing regularly, really happy with that guy. I think, as I said when we signed him, a couple of days, next year when he comes off Cape Town Stadium, he's going to be going like this. He's going to become a hero. Yeah, so I'm very happy with him.
And Ruanel in the midfield?
Made a massive difference. Defensively, that's where you feel for London Irish. But again, defence is a thing. You've got that intercept, which is a real sucker punch. But it was really good defence. But Ruan was great to have him back.
What's your route flying home?
Not too bad at all. London, Doha, Cape Town. You can't really complain about that.
Business or...
No. Very good. That's, Look, the weather thing we're never going to control. The travel was something we must control.
Did you have any fatigue second half? Was that another part of your second half?
No, we had a great week training in London. That's why I said there are no excuses. I mean, we trained at the Lensbury, a nice cup of tea there, and it was beautiful. No, because we had 3 full training sessions. The problem with last week is we just had one training session. The problem with next week, one training session, only get back to Cape Town on Tuesday, play Clermont on Saturday, so we'll only train Thursday. And I think you saw, look, I don't know how much you guys follow URC, but that one training session a week puts you under pressure on a Saturday. Then we leave straight after the Clermont game to come back to Ulster. So that's tough. But hell, just to be part of it all, I must say, I'm not being polite, I really am. For us, it's pinch yourself stuff to be Heineken Cup. It's fantastic, so we won't complain.
Just last one on that logistics one. Do you think there needs to be looking at scheduling of the games if you had maybe Ulster next week without having to go back to South Africa? Do you think that will make a difference?
I'd be over 110 kilos if I stayed another week at the Pilot or the Gunnersbury Arms. Look, I think it'll come with time. People will get they'll get that right. But at the moment, we're literally grateful to be here. Is our approach. We have to sort the travel stuff out, but for the rest, grateful to be here.
On Mane Libbox injury situation.
First on we never got in flow. I think there were times in the first half we looked like we would. Unfortunately, once they've got cards like that, then your game changes, yourself, even as the team with the numbers. You want to go set piece to set piece. You want to expose them where they haven't got numbers. And then also, Sasha coming on, we hadn't really prepped for him at 10 properly. Probably my responsibility. So we lost a bit of flow there, and we made a lot of mistakes. We coughed up a lot of ball. At halftime, you're talking about a very different conversation than you are if you're playing 15 versus 15. So, probably some coaching errors, some handling errors, and then also I think credit to the Irish. The way they kept the ball and kept coming at us was amazing. The fighting Irish, and we saw that, and that they deserve a lot of credit for that. As regards Mane, he got a serious, serious, I mustn't, because that becomes, he got a knock to his head. He failed his HIA. Duncan's making a joke here that they failed on the language test, which he may have well failed anywhere, but it's a concussion, and that's where we are. We'll have to have that, probably go through the whole protocol now.
Cool. Next is Ashfaq. Go for it, Ashfaq.
Hi, Dobbo. At 21-0 at halftime, game is in the bag, and they eventually got to 13 men. So perhaps in a weird way, the errors actually gives you something to really work on for next week, whereas maybe a 50-pointer against a 13-man team, sort of, that was expected. Now actually has something really to focus on.
Yeah, I think, exactly right, the errors. And then I thought there'd be a lot of stuff that we can learn in our discipline stuff. You've been on these calls before, Ashfaq, where I've talked about middle earth penalties. And also, we're amazing credit to London Irish. We go for a counter ruck under our poles. Even though they've got 13 men, you would think we'd have that luxury, and they score, and it's well done to them. So there's lots to get our teeth into. I just didn't want to go too much hard at the team now. It's our last night in London. We're all going to go and watch Pygmalion or whatever we're going to go watch. But that's a lot. I want them to enjoy it. As frustrating as it was and left a bit of a weird taste in the mouth at the end, it's still a job well done, and they must try and enjoy themselves now.
There's just one more. As you said, bonus pointers in the bag there. So for next week, would you hammer on a bit about perhaps showing a bit more discipline in attack, actually respecting the ball a bit more?
100, completely right. Absolutely spot on. Yeah, and then obviously the set piece, there were a lot of free kicks. A couple of scoops. It was a bit of a roll and die. It was a bit erratic, our set piece as well. So that and looking after the ball. Our plan was to be direct, and especially when you got numbers down. What are the re-entry points into the game? Are you being loose with the ball and poor discipline? And that's probably two of the areas we were poor in the second half. Numbers up. Sorry.
Cool, guys. We got Sabu again, and then Stephen. Go for Sabu.
Coach, sorry, just could you expound a bit if Mane, I think, would miss at least a week if it's concussion protocols. What will the loss of him at 10 mean going forward? Also, maybe Sasha coming back and already trusting at number 10 for next week. And just a bit about Joseph Dweba and the line out. There's something clearly not clicking. I don't know, is he being targeted now by refs and opposition? In terms of the throw-in.
Firstly, on the other thing, we've got options at 10. Sasha, we're training him this time in 15-12. So it was probably a mistake to put him straight onto 10 on my part. But there's, obviously he's an option at 10. Damien Willemse is an option at 10. Jean-Luc Duplessis is an option at 10, and so is Kate Voliter. So we'll be fine there. Well, I'm very happy with where Joseph is. I think, I think maybe on some of the social media they say Joseph can't throw, but our line-up percentage, I think, I haven't seen today's stats, going into it over the last few weeks was 91 or 92%, which is above average. So I'm very happy with Joseph is building innings. I think anything that's gets people start saying Joseph can't throw it's really factually flawed and statistically flawed. Really chuffed with the way his line-out work is going. I mean, the one we did lose, I know, we're mowing through Marvin's fingertips. That was a poor call. I can't remember that, but I can't even remember if that was Andre or Joseph. And you must remember Andre Hugo also had a skew throw. So I know we're very happy with where Joseph is throwing wise.
Nice one. Thanks, Dobbo. That's Stephen next.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Dobbo, I just want to get clarity. You mentioned earlier from when the questions were from the floor that I think whether it was Mani you referred to that he would be out for a while. That seems to be, I don't know if you, maybe I misunderstood you when you spoke about him now, because now you seem to be, just sort of thinking it's a normal concussion. I mean, can you just give clarity on how serious it is?
I beg your pardon. If I created that impression earlier, then it was more serious than a normal concussion. That's my bad. No, there are various tests. What's the first one called? I can't remember what it's called. The one or I can't remember, the criteria one, which he failed straight away, which is the one they first do. So then that means he's concussed, and then he goes through the rest of the protocol now. And that is, as you know, he won't play next week. The rest, how long it is after next week, depends on how he does in the tests on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. But you say it was straight up clear. There was no possibility of him coming back on the field because he failed that first test. That's what I meant, sorry.
And Dion, is he okay after that bump to his head? Because that couldn't have been good for his neck. So
no, he's a little bit stiff. He's a little bit stiff, but he's fine. He wasn't concussed, but he's a bit stiff, yeah.
In terms of the just the fade in the second half, do you think it's just played a role that you guys were so far ahead and there was no way you were going to lose the game? Do you think it was just a matter of maybe the guys were just a bit lackadaisical?
Yeah, Steve, I think one of the messages that we were getting down was, with the numbers up, was to almost get to a set piece game, because that's where you can't hide the numbers, and to just make sure that we got the territory. So that's why you saw the kicks into the 22, which is actually not how we play rugby. But we felt their like I said earlier, their entry points into the game with numbers down would be discipline, which we weren't great, and that's how they got their 22 entries. They didn't run into the 22. It was our discipline, tackler, not rolling or counter ruck or whatever. And us not looking after the ball, So we had to almost go into, and it often happens to teams, we had to go into our sort of non-style. I'm not sure us staying at our own tempo would have been the right thing either, but it just made for a pretty poor product. Yeah, and I suppose we did have comfort from the scoreboard. I think just a bit disappointing we didn't finish with a try at the end there.
This coming weekend, this result, I mean, does it change into your thoughts on team selection at all for the coming weeks or this week? Obviously, your head's pretty much through now with regards to the last 16, or is this coming weekend's team, is everything pre-planned really?
Well, it is pre-planned, and today hasn't changed it. I think we've got we've also got a responsibility to put on we've got a lot of away games coming up. We've had a lot to put on a nice game at DHL Stadium, and then as was suggested, something I need to check on was, what say we have in the venue of where the last 16 is played, and that could be very important. So, and also there are a couple of the Springboks who will be resting after that. So we probably won't be changing too much. A guy like Mani is expected to be out, but for the rest we'll go as best we can.
Thanks, Dobbo. Well done.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen. Sabu's got his hand up again. I'll push him up, Mani.
Sorry, guys, to keep you. Last one from me. Just on the red cards again, just the head contact and the clean out. We saw with Siabelo Sinatla and the Bandi Aki situation that there is danger that's being trying to be prevented by the officials. When you look at the contest versus safety debate, do you think today's decisions were correct? And where is your feeling with regards to rugby traditions and the spate of red cards that we're seeing this weekend with like 5 in total, I think?
It's a one-on-one interview,
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky for me. It's such a complex issue that's dominating the game. I do think strongly that the jacklers, if we have turnovers, must be protected from leading shoulders and that sort of thing. Because that's a controllable. It's really controllable. I do think we're in a bit of a grayer area when it comes to rugby, what we call traditions like Iowa called rugby collisions. Of course, you can't have the Springbok fly off going off concussed, and maybe and I'm sure it's a red card, but that's something where we as a game have to get better. I do know from a limited level that I played and that sort of thing, when you go for a clean out, that's where you can control that much easier than, say, a clash at high speed. So I would have, look, I think the cards are cards, and respect them and understand and probably and agree with them. That's full stop. It's just a tricky area, this rugby collision story, and that's, I can't say more than that, I don't think.
Well, Stephen, your hand's still up. I don't know if you've got another question.
No, sorry, Mark. Thanks very much.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much, Dobbo. Enjoy
Thanks,
Pygmalion tonight.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.